Okay, in this video, we're going to go over player and enemy units and what the different stats on each of their different types of cards mean. Now, looking at our CC team as an example of a player unit, you can see in the very top left corner of the card, that's going to be its point cost, which can vary between the same types of units on whether or not it's a regular or veteran unit, as in they've been upgraded. There at the top center of the card is obviously the team name or whatever the unit is, and then directly below that you're going to see its health and armor if it has it, like the CC team does. There to the left is obviously a picture of the unit, and then to the right of that is going to be its combat stats. We can see for the CC team that their combat stats are a 4 for their fire, which is their ranged attack, and then a 3 for their melee, which is their close combat attack rating. These are the numbers you're going to use when you're generating success levels in combat. We're going to go over how to generate success levels a little bit later on. Just understand that you're going to be using these numbers when you generate those success levels. Also, in generating success levels, you can see their skills down listed below that. We can see for the CC team, the only skill they have is advanced, and they have a skill level of 3. Speaking of that, though, when it comes to generating success levels, there are other types of units, specialized units, that can have different stats and different skills listed below. The squad leader, for example, we can see has no fire or melee stat. As such, they will never participate in combat directly, but can affect combat with their command skill indirectly. We also see that he has the communication and intelligence skills that can be used when generating success levels for those skill checks. You also have other types of specialized units. As an example, this demolitionist, who does have a melee skill, but specialized units can only participate in combat directly in rare circumstances. And then below that are the specialized skills that the unit has. We see for this unit they have demolitions, security, and repair that they can use. You'll bring specialized units along for certain checks, like this demolition skill listed down here on this node. You would bring a demolitionist around to take and gain success levels for that node. When we look at the enemy card is very similar to a player unit card, and the fact that the name is going to be listed at the top. Up there to the top right, you'll see whether it's type 1, 2, or 3, varying levels of difficulty. And they also have health and armor listed directly below their name, as you see here for the mercenaries. Also, their stats are similar to player stats in that they have a fire and a melee skill that will be used when they generate success levels in combat against the player units. And then also to the right, you will see any special skills they might have that can be used in combat, which is going to vary between different types of enemies. Now, there is a large card for the enemy, which will list down the main type of enemies, a little blurb about them specifically, and then below that you're going to find the range table and any special rules that might apply for that. We're not going to get into the specifics of the range table now. Just understand that this is where you will go to determine whether or not combat is going to be set at ranged or melee. Below that is the enemy presence table, and we had discussed this briefly when we talked about events previously, whether they're A, B, or C. That's going to be a combat event, and you can see by looking at this card that this is where you're going to determine what happens when it's a A, B, or C type event. And you can see it's just going to be a random number generation, which will tell you what type and how many enemies to generate for that combat event.